First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our organization before we get started with the event. TECHNATION is a member-driven association that represents Canadian tech companies. For over 60 years, we have worked to unite the tech industry and government to champion Canada's future in technology. TECHNATION's Career Ready program offers training resources, wage subsidies, and events to support post-secondary students who are interested in tech-based careers. We are proud to host the Startup Skills Series, which you have joined today, where we invite experts to discuss relevant topics in the tech business world for students and aspiring entrepreneurs. We hope that you will join us for more startup skills events and the other events we host throughout the year. You can keep up to date by signing up for our event newsletter, which I will link in the chat. This is an interactive session, so we encourage you to turn on your cameras or participate with us in any way that you can. Please go ahead and submit to the chat, use the react button, any way that you can feedback to us. We feedback to you and then back to us and to you, and it makes the whole situation a lot better. Now I'll pass things over to our guest speaker, Shiraz, to introduce himself and start the session. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sorry, folks, small technical glitch. My mouse just left my screen because I'm trying to work off of two computers at the same time. So bear with me as I get it back on my main screen, or else I don't have control over my computer. The world has just taken over and now I am done. Apologize 1 second.
Have split. Now, tell me what the revenues look like if you don't increase the sales number.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'm just gonna kill that. There we go. Thank you. And I'm back with you guys. Thank you for your patience. Appreciate that. Technology is always fun, especially when we're with an organization like TECHNATION. We think that we have it all figured out. And you know what? Sometimes it's those little foxes that ruin the vine. It's those little hitches and glitches that can make all the difference. But thankfully, everybody has patience and we can get there. So folks, as our host has already stated, right? Like if you have the opportunity and you're not shy, get your camera on. I know Nathaniel will be back in a moment. He always turns his camera on. So if anyone else wants to turn their camera on, please do so. And let's have some fun and make some, let's make some memories, right? Learning is always fun when it's experiential and you're engaged in that process. I like to think I'm entertaining, but I'm not. That's not. Hey, there's my man Nathaniel. I like to think I'm entertaining, but that's not the point, right? The point is get what you can out of the session, get your cameras on. Hey, you got to introduce yourself though.
Okay, I think I got my mic on.
Yep.
Hey, I'm Ahmad. I'm a second-year student, computer science student at University of Toronto, Scarborough.
Okay.
And I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. And of course, everybody already knows Nathaniel. Give everybody a wave. This Nathaniel, everybody. All right. Everybody knows Paige.
Nice to see you again, Shiraz. Paige.
Pleasure to see you again. And my friend at the bottom who has that funky frame on as well. Love it. Name?
Hi, my name is Fadi. Actually, I heard about this event from Nathaniel.
Okay, well, there we go. Fadi, welcome.
Yeah, we're colleagues.
Okay, so you're in the 3D printing business as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember because Nathaniel's pitch was powerful, and by the end of this, let's see if he can convince all of us to buy his product. All right, and let's see if that happens. Now, a quick recap of what we spoke about last week. Well, let me even rewind before that. This session is all about CTAs, right? And we're familiar with the concept. Here is a fundamental principle. You have not because you ask not. It's a fundamental principle. You cannot sell if you do not tell. It's a fundamental principle again. So it's our responsibility, yes, to develop a product or service that has a viable place in the market that people want, But if they don't know about it and you're not asking them to buy, so unfortunately, some of the greatest ideas will never make it off the vine. They don't know how to sell. And it's just a part of everyone's capacity that we all simply need to ask. So I'll do a quick recap of what last week was all about. Let me see if I can share my screen here, and then we'll jump right in. And thank you as always for helping us out here. Let me see if I can get my screen going. Here we go. All right. And of course, everybody can see my screen at this point. Now, unfortunately, when I flip to sharing, thank you, Nathaniel. When I flip to sharing, unfortunately, I won't be able to see all your faces, but that's okay. Hey, look, folks, if you're not comfortable turning your cameras on, at least turn your mics on and shout at me, right? Like get what you need out of this session, because that really matters the most. So last week we covered off 2 call to actions. The main one is simply, okay, call to action. We've seen these before. It's buy now. It's subscribe here, join here, and they tend to be in button form, right? And you click on the button and you're in. Now, I believe, now forgive me, I've already forgotten your name. It's Fadi?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Fadi, do you know what WIFM means?
No.
Okay, it's a radio station that every single person on the planet listens to. Everybody listens to.
What's in it for me?
You got it. Thank you so much. Everybody tends to, now maybe there's some exceptions, and I apologize if you're more righteous than me, but sometimes you go into scenarios and you want to know what's in it for me. And if we can speak that language, it makes the call to action that much easier. So it's not just a matter of pinning your button on the screen, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, well, I put my buy now, I put my call to action, but now we have to activate the call to action. And that's where we began discussing some principles. Do people even know what you're asking them to buy? And this is critical, because if there is ambiguity, if there's uncertainty, why am I going to open up my wallet for you? It just doesn't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason for me to want to spend my money if I'm not even sure what I'm buying. So what this speaks to are the 1 or 2 sentences right above your call to action button in whatever your facility is. So let's just say it's a website, for example, it's a social post, whatever it is. Those 1 to 2 sentences better be clear. You must make sure I know as a consumer exactly, and how do you clarify it? Not what you say. The indicator of clarity is WIFM. What's in it for me? And if you can put the 2 sentences right before your call to action and declare what's in it for me, you will win more business more often. Fundamental principle is just how it works. Any questions or thoughts so far? All right. And that was a quick recap of last week, with this one exception. We also spoke about, why do you buy? Why do I buy? Okay, certainly what's in it for me. But when you buy, it tends to be from a place of need, correct? You either need it, and so now you're looking for the best option available, or it might be a little bit more simpler than that. It might be just simply a matter of, I want it. I want it. I really want it. Ooh, that looks shiny. That's sexy. Yes, I gotta get me some of that, right? Like, I need that new power drill. Why? Because it's like so much stronger than my other power drill. Okay. So first question for you, for everybody today. And this is where I'm just gonna stop sharing here for a quick second. If it'll let me, that's all right. I'll eventually figure that out. Can I ask you guys a question? How do you generate need?
Sometimes need could be kind of dormant. It could be there, but it needs awakening, so to speak, like insurance, where
Okay.
most people don't see the need for it unless an insurance agent perhaps comes and highlights the importance of getting life insurance. Just an example.
Okay, so would you suggest that a part of your CTA activates need from the sense of sometimes we don't even know what we need. We don't even know what we know, the levels of consciousness, right? We don't even know what we know, or we don't even know what we need. So a part of our responsibility in our language is to let them know what they need. Is it okay for me to say, you need to be at this session today?
Yes.
Of course it is. If someone's going to be bothered by that, that's okay. Listen, show me how you, Fadi, for example, show me how you will make every single one of your clients happy every single time.
I guess I can try to sell them the need for more free time, like instead of having to go and buy or build your own pieces, you can just get that software or that 3D printer that's going to print it for you twice as fast, and you get more time.
Okay, he's already moving into sales pitch. I love it. He's not messing around. This is good. This is good. This is good. Ahmed, can you make everybody happy all the time?
No.
I personally don't think so.
Okay. So then why try to create general language to reach the masses?
Yeah.
You don't need this much language. Just speak to your most likelies, because they are the ones who, sorry for dumbing down the language, are most likely to buy. So just speak to them and ask them. It's okay. Look, if you throw everything that you're good at up against the wall and hopefully somebody figures out how good you are, that doesn't clarify the ask, because you don't clarify who your audience is. I'll give you an example from my sales experience. Has anybody heard the term low-hanging fruit? All right, I'll explain that for everybody's
Yes.
benefit. Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay, thank you. And how would you define low-hanging fruit?
It would be those tasks or those things that are easy to achieve, easy to accomplish, because just as the name implies, it's hanging lower than if I'm to use the analogy, it's hanging lower than the fruit that's up at the top. So maybe it's a quick win. I think I would use that to say.
Okay, and my apologies, I didn't catch your name.
Denise from Trinidad.
Hey, Denise from Trinidad. I've been to Aruca, by the way. Most people don't even know where Aruca is, but yes, I've been to Trinidad and I loved it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but we'll talk about Trinidad afterwards. Here is the point. Sometimes we're overcomplicating our positioning online from a sales presentation, and we're trying to get the fruit at the top of the tree. You know, we want the best client. Get the client that's closest to you. Ask them to buy. That's it. Some people feel more pride in, oh, I closed a hard deal. It pays the same as a simple deal, doesn't it, at the end of the day? Okay, so if this client's money is the same value as this client's money, go for the low-hanging fruit. But you got to ask them. And I think sometimes we shy away literally from asking for the sale. Are you guys tracking with me? Now, can you guys see yourself in that position of, instead of asking for the sale, I'll give you an example. Pages happen so much in sales, so much in sales. You ready? So you're at that point where you look like you're kind of ready to make a decision, right? And then here's a salesperson's response. You guys ready? Yeah, it's 10 inches by 7 inches by 4 inches, and it'll fit in your trunk. Yeah, it comes in red, blue, and green. Comes with a warranty. Shut up. If they're pushing out buying signals, ask for the sale. Now that might come as like light bulb moment. It might, if for some, for other people, it might be like, okay, that's rudimentary. Then why aren't we doing it more? Fundamentally, we're challenged to challenge people. Fundamentally, it's like almost we feel like it's wrong to just go ahead and ask for what we've been working for, revenue. So newsflash, all the engineers and everybody on the call, you weren't working to build a product, you were working to generate the revenue that your product will create. And if you lose sight of that, you won't be in business long. Again, I want to repeat this. You're not working to create a great product or service. You're working to create revenue from your great product or service. Does that make sense to everybody? So there's fundamentally one way to get a signature. You kind of got to ask for it, right? And that's okay. I mean, if this was maybe 5 years ago, I'd be bringing in dating analogies and you know, just go up to him and go up to her and ask. But I don't know, some people find it a little inappropriate. So I'm going to stay away from that. And then Paige is going to send me a nasty note afterwards. I can't believe you said that. So Paige, don't worry, I won't offend anybody on this call. I won't. Everybody just go ahead and get an arranged marriage. Oh, is that okay? Anyways, but you're getting the point, right? Like you have not because you ask not. So I'm going to share my screen again, and let's get into some a little bit more meat, if that's all right with everybody. There are fundamentally two other elements why we buy. We buy when it's convenient and easy. Sometimes your process is the problem. Oh, well, all you got to do is jump through my hoops, and then you get to have my service. Who cares about your process? What matters is what the buyer's experience is. And can you make it convenient and easy? So I want to encourage you to understand a CTA is only as powerful as the convenience with which the process, once you click that button, becomes. You gotta make it easy. And the last point here is people buy what they identify with. We are now in a society that, in a Canadian society, that is more fractured along socio and political lines than we've ever been before. I mean, just because we don't agree on something, that doesn't mean we can't be friends. But unfortunately, if this product isn't to my standard of eco-friendly, I might not buy. Okay, like, and I'm not knocking eco-friendly. I'm just using that as an example. Okay, if this product doesn't support this cause, then I won't. Okay, so now how do you make everybody happy? Sorry. I think at the end of the day, what we need to do, you need to define your own identity, and people will identify with you. My apologies. Let me just take a little sip of water here. And so I would encourage you to identify who you are. Be secure and sure in who you are. Because your sheep will come. And here's the last thing from last week, and then we're moving on now. Here's the last thing from last week. Most people, and this is not a bad thing, most people are followers, they're sheep, they're not shepherds. Most people want to be led, not be leaders. Most people aren't like you who will take the time to invest in yourself to develop more of what you believe is in your core and your capacity and have the your confidence to chase it down with tenacity. Most people are not like you. Again, that's not a bad thing. If the world was full of leaders, we'd be going in 7 billion directions. Thankfully, we are in a world where we have a blend of leaders and followers. So how do you activate people who feel better following? And so there is this concept that you've all maybe you've experienced this yourself. Can somebody describe the concept of what buyer's remorse is? Has anyone heard of that and can describe that for us?
We do have a question from Nathaniel.
Go for it, buddy.
If you'd like to finish your question, that's okay too. Thank you so much, Paige. Up to you, Shiraz.
Go for it. It's all yours, Nathaniel.
Okay. Well, my question was just regarding sheep and identification. Should we be perceiving most customers as sheep, or do we kind of risk looking down on customers and making them feel like they're a little bit outed? Or
that all depends on your perspective. If you feel like leading people is demoralizing to them, then you're right. For me, I don't see leading people as demoralizing. I see it as illuminating a path that they haven't considered. And so I feel like leading people is doing them a favor. So it's all about your perspective. And I would encourage everybody on the call to understand that when you're leading others, it doesn't make them less than you. And if you see it like that, that's your issue, not theirs. And if you see it like that, then perhaps your perspective will come and play out. Does that make sense, Nathaniel?
Yeah, totally. No, that really resonates with me. So let's say my identity is I identify as a leader.
Okay.
But then when I want to kind of attract a similar identity in my customer, that would seem to conflict with seeing them as a sheep, even if that's benefactory. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for raising that angle. Here's a thought. So 3D printing. You might be into that space. Would you be a leader as a consumer if you were on a monthly plan and the filament or whatever the orders like the extra ink was being delivered to your home in a timely fashion, like on a monthly subscription? Would you be leading in that? Would you be a leader?
I probably wouldn't feel as much of a leader in that situation, no. Okay,
so is what you're doing cutting edge? So sorry, my apologies. Let's rewind. Can you describe for everybody what your business is and what you do?
In our startup, we deliver upgrade packages for 3D printer hobbyists and small to mid-sized enterprises that can upgrade their printer to have more like commercial and industrial level prints.
Okay, all I heard was you're trying to get people to lead the charge in upgrade to newer technology. Isn't that respectful?
Yeah.
It depends on your POV, right? Your point of view. It really depends on your perspective. I feel like I'm respecting my audience, my clientele, by giving them something that they don't have. And I want them to elevate their game, and they can lead themselves into a greater place of prosperity simply because they have better tools to do their job.
Yeah.
I feel like it comes down to perspective. I would never treat any. I've led organizations where I've had upwards of 80 people report into me, but I've never treated them like less than me. And so the concept of sheep really is sometimes people don't know how to make decisions. And thank you for that segue. Sheep and shepherd, it's all about who's the shot caller and who's making decisions. And so thank you for that setup, because I think what we're about to talk about right now will probably unpack your thought and the small conundrum that we're up against. I don't think I've completely addressed your thought, and I love it. So bear with me, and let's see if we can cover that off in the next 10 minutes. Is that cool?
Can I add something to this?
Yeah, for sure.
I also think that you don't necessarily need to see your clientele as sheeps. You might also want to produce something for other leaders, kind of just like this meeting. You're kind of leading people who want to be leaders. Also, if you're an engineer, you want to produce a product for other engineers so that they can be more efficient. You don't necessarily need to see them as sheep. You can see them as equals, but you're just answering needs that they don't really have the time to think about or deal with because they're busy with other things.
That's absolutely fantastic. And I think what we're coming up against is a definition or a dichotomy of the word sheep. And hopefully And thank you. I appreciate what you're saying completely. So let's see if quantum direction can help with that. Just help add to the conversation. Is that cool? Okay. So in quantum direction, I'll give you an example of what quantum direction can be like. Let's suppose that I stay late at work and I call home and I'm like, hey, hon, I'm going to be late. And she reminds me, yeah, but it's your turn to pick up dinner tonight. It's like, oh, my apologies. Okay, so now this is what quantum direction does. It has switched my direction to now I have to pick up the phone, call, there's a Thai restaurant close to our house we enjoy. Hey, could you do the golden curry and this and that, and you know, I order it. So now because I decided to stay late at work, it has now directed the chef to create a meal for us. Does that make sense to everybody so far? Okay, so now that my decision has directed the chef to prepare a meal, and my decision had nothing to do with the meal, it had everything to do with I'm staying late because I want to finish something off before I come home. Okay, great. So now that I've gone, picked it up, we're at home, we're enjoying our meal. Let's close that story off. The idea here is the concept of buyer's remorse. And you're going to have to give me a little bit of rope here to tie it all together. So just bear with me. And by the time we get to this end of the next 8 minutes, you'll see how it all comes together. There are certain elements that come with quantum direction. Again, quantum direction is the ability to direct someone else's decision just by an inference. I can direct you to do a lot of things. I'll give you an example. Paige and her team put out a poster and they said, hey, folks, if you want to learn about XYZ, we're doing 10 sessions, and you guys signed up for this session based on a conversation that I had with Tim. He's another great guy that works at TECHNATION. Tim called me, said, hey, Shiraz, you've done some stuff for us before. Would you do it again? Tim gets a hold of Haley. Haley gets a hold of Paige. They produce this flyer. They put it out. And all of a sudden, because Tim called me to do a session, we are now living in Tim's phone call to me a couple of months back. Quantum direction. That's effectively the definition of quantum direction. Okay. So the first thing that Tim had to be aware of was his options and his biases. When you're directing people, you have to be aware of their options and their biases. A call to action is like directing other people. And let's eliminate the word sheep. Forget it. That's been fired. We'll simply say other people. And if you're directing other people, you have to be aware of their options and their biases. So when you're creating your target market or your customer profile or your most likelies, have you considered what their options are? And have you considered what their biases are? Really important when you're baking that into your profile. And if you haven't profiled your most likely yet, you're most likely not experiencing the success that you really could. Okay, so the next part of quantum direction is make a decision. I assure you, nothing happens until somebody makes a decision. And unless you make a decision, it will happen by default, not by design, and you get what you get and you don't get upset. Bottom line. So the second part of quantum direction is a decision needs to be made. I'll move on to the last part, and this is the problem. The problem is you got to live with your choices or adjust. That's fundamentally what buyer's remorse is. Okay, so let's go back to step one, and that's simply I'm going to evaluate all my options. I got all my options. Okay, so here are all my 3D printing options. Okay. Eventually I got to make a decision. Who's going to help me make a decision? Probably the one with the better CTAs, my bias. Play on words there. Okay, so I don't like companies from this part of the world. I like companies from this part of the world. They look like a small business. They look like a large corporation. Maybe they have a better warranty. Okay, I have a bias for companies with good warranty. Okay, fine. Then I'll go ahead and make a decision, but buyer's remorse. Oh no, did I make the right decision? And folks, I really got to challenge you all, because then I wouldn't be living in my CTA. A third CTA that we really have to get comfortable with. Many people, I won't throw out percentages because that would be foolhardy. I don't know what the percentage is, but in your own experience, think about the challenges that people have with decision making. Just need a little push. Most people just need literally a little push. And if you can give them a little push, how do you do that? You challenge them in your CTAs. Your language could be something like, what do you have to lose? I don't know. What do I got to lose? So when you're considering, again, CTA, call to action. Okay, great. That is a bucket word. You got to clarify the ask. And now I'm introducing another concept to you. Challenge your audience, because most people have characteristics that are decision averse. Again, this audience is different. You guys are the tip of the spear. If I can tell you why you're the tip of the spear, because you're making the time on a Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock to be on a call like this. That's what makes you the tip of the spear. But you got to challenge your audience for sure. And we're going to circle back to this concept in a moment, because just before we do that, I just want to introduce the last one here, is call out the assumption. All right, just bear with me 1 second here, guys. Okay, so I've introduced 2 more CTAs really quickly. It was challenge your audience. For example, what do you got to lose? Give us a try. Most people will be stuck in their position. Why? Because they're comfortable and they don't like to move from their place of comfort. Okay, so let's use our 3D printing friends. I have been using the same person for the last year with no problems. Why should I change from them to you? You got to come good to dislodge me from who I've been using with no problems. What are you going to say now? Okay, I've been using the same. I haven't had it. It hasn't been good, but it hasn't been bad. Most people will stick with bad for the fear of their alternative being even worse. I'll repeat that. Most people will stick with bad for fear of the alternative being even worse. And that's unfortunate. I won't get into relationship advice. That's another can of worms over there, but that's another reality, right? Like people just, hey, I know what I know. It's like, I'll deal with the evil that I know versus the evil that I don't know. And I don't know you. So how are you going to do that? I have more questions and hopefully I have some answers for you guys, but I feel like I got to break through a little bit and get some ideation going and flowing a little bit more. All right. So I'm just trying to feel my audience. If I'm off, that's fine, but that's okay. I'm okay challenging you guys right now. So I'm going to challenge you guys. All right. So Ahmed, give me a CTA that your company uses, or a fresh example of a really good CTA.
Well, for the 3D printer example, you can ask them if they try you out for a couple of months, what would they lose? And if they didn't like it, they can switch back to their previous provider.
Okay. Is that a soft ask or a direct ask?
I assume that's a direct ask because you're asking them directly to buy your product, like invest in your product.
Can I get some other people to comment on what he's saying?
August says soft, and before that, Mary said, I can save you money through streamlined operations that yield better results.
Okay, so sorry, it was August that said that was a soft CTA? All right.
Correct.
Here it is, bro. August, I'm assuming you're a guy, might be a girl, my apologies. Listen, I love when people challenge, because we're talking about challenging. And that's some strong language, and I got no problems with people using strong language. That's awesome. You called his, you didn't, by the way, I mean, he didn't call you soft. He said the CTA was soft. Okay. So don't take it personally. It's all good. So
No, all good, all good.
So August, turn your mic on, and can you give us an example as well? Okay, August might be a little shy. That's okay. That's okay. So, sorry, what's that, August?
No, I was gonna start, but no, I don't have an example.
Okay, and that's beautiful. Sometimes we know what we don't want, but sometimes it's harder to come up with what we want. So I'm not calling you out, August, at all. I'm not calling you out at all. So hopefully you didn't take it that way. This is just me. I like putting people in positions of, pressurized scenarios so we can bring out the best in people. That's all. I think that's fantastic. So here we are. It's like, okay, I know what I don't need to do. I need to know what I need to do. So let's stay with our 3D printing friends, okay? And let's use the exact same example of, can somebody help us come up with another CTA that is clear, that is challenging the client, that's clear and challenging the client?
Well, if it's a client that never had a 3D printer, you can say something like, aren't you tired of asking, for example, plumbers to order pieces to fix your pipes? You can just print them on your own and do it by yourself.
Okay.
So creating like potential like independence.
So we're already seeing here that CTAs in your own organization, whatever you buy or sell, whatever you do, there's multiple profiles. There's one profile who are familiar with and they use. Another profile they've never used. So you could, let's just say that you developed a great accounting software. Okay, great. Is your client someone who uses Xero? Do they use, I don't know, CanTax? I don't know, TurboTax? Do they use those, or they've never used? So who do you want to go after? Who do you want to spend more time with?
The ones,
and then that changes the CTA, doesn't it? It changes the CTA.
I feel like the ones that never use it are low-hanging fruit, because they don't have that conflict between the ones that they're currently using and maybe switching. Okay, so Fadi, you've run up against people in a sales scenario where you feel it's harder to dislodge them from their existing relationship. You find it easier for newbies to be able to buy your product or service. I mean, unless the company that they're with are extremely bad that they're desperate for another solution, I think it's a bit more of a challenge to convince them to switch to another system. Okay, so therefore what you would do is, so this is what I'm hearing. You're saying, okay, so let's create some CTAs for fresh. All right, everybody, we're going to switch up hats. Everybody, we're going to go down this rabbit hole, and this is going to be fun. All right, so everybody just like smile for me, just pretend like you're having fun. All right, we're having fun. Okay, here we go. We're switching up. I'm having a good time. Okay, good. Thank you, Nathaniel. That was sincere and genuine. Appreciate that. Like right in here. Thank you. We're gonna switch up. Let's go after somebody who's never used your type of product or service before. See, this is where the last CTA comes in. Call out the assumption. If you know that I have inhibitions in hangups and challenges, and I've never done this before, can you call it out before I say it out? I'll tell you why. Because if you can say what I'm thinking, I feel like you know me. Relationship trust, ding a ding, 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 ding. Don't be afraid to call out what ignorance represents. Ignorance is not a bad word, by the way. I think it's a very powerful word. And if we can get more aware of our ignorances, we'd be better as a human race. It's just fundamentally what I believe. If you can call out somebody's blind spots in your sales language, if you're saying what they're thinking, wow, that creates trust. Wow. I feel like you know me already.
Can you guys kind of understand what we're saying here? Don't be afraid at all to call, again, last CTA here, call out the assumption. What assumptions are your clients making? Write it out in the language before you place that button, and you're going to find more people will click your button more often. So what are they thinking? What problems? See, we're so used to creating language about all the greatness that we represent, but every coin has two sides. And you're more effective when you get a 360 POV, point of view, right, perspective on everything. The other side is, what are they thinking? So our 3D printing people, let's keep you hot here, all right? What challenges, Nathaniel, what challenges would someone who's never used a 3D printer before, right? And if we can all help them. So I'm going to start with August, actually, and then our friend from Trinidad right after that. So we'll start with August, and then our friend from Trinidad, and then we'll go to Ahmed. What problem would you have with using a 3D printer? And so I'll start it off. I'll go first. I'll go first. Man, I feel like that's like technology beyond my ability. That's just like some 2040 stuff, man. There's no way that I'd ever be able to print. No, man, that's only for like the smartest people in my school. Forget it. I can't do it. Paige?
Emily asked if you could please repeat the question.
Okay. The question is, Emily, let's pretend that we've never used a 3D printer before, and we're put in a position to at least consider the thought of purchasing a 3D printer. What would your hangups be?
I would say, oh, why don't I even need that? I'm a stay-at-home mom. Why would I use that?
Okay. Okay. So
And
let's
then my next one would be, how would I use that? That seems too complicated.
Okay. I like you. I like you. I like you a lot. It's too complicated, guys.
May I also suggest another one?
Yes, please.
To call out the assumption, we're going to assume that we can't afford that. It sounds too technical and expensive. So I feel like I wouldn't be able to afford it.
So can I tell you what happened last week? I made that assumption. I said, oh, this is going to cost like, what, $6,000? And Nathaniel's just slammed me. He's like, no, about $300-400. Yes, I made that exact assumption. So thank you for making me not feel so silly last week. I did that with Nathaniel. Is that not true? Okay, so
yeah, it's true.
Do you see what you're up against? What if your language says it's a lot less than what you think it is? That's it. 3D printing costs a lot less than what you think it is. Obviously, refine the language a little bit better than on the spot, but is it okay to call out the assumption? Ahmed, do you have a hang up to 3D printing?
No, I can't think of any right now, but those were excellent points.
He probably has like 2 or 3 of them. That's why, because he's like ahead of the curve. He's ahead of the curve.
You could, you could say, I'm not creative enough to draw it, to turn it into something.
Okay. Are you seeing why a CTA must call out assumptions? And if it doesn't, you are operating with blind spots, not your client, because you haven't thought of the other side of the coin. So folks, whatever your product or service is today, okay, I would encourage you to think and assume about, think through all the assumptions of why they should not buy. And then create your language and call it out, speak it out. Can you see how that can be effective? Costs a lot less than you think. You don't, it not just for the best artists. Give us a try. Challenge me a bit. Like, don't be afraid to challenge me. Because if you are in the business of getting first-time customers who've never done 3D printing before, if that's a market that you want to, go after, it's first-time users. Challenge me. Challenge me.
I was gonna say, if I can jump in, that if I was working on the website for this, I would like have like a button or like a gift thingy for each concern, like, oh, too hard to use, that they could just like click it, and instead of like watching a YouTube video that's 2 minutes long, it could just be like a snapshot of do this, 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 and it'd be boom, 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 4 steps, boom, 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 and they can be like, oh yeah, that's easy. All you do is da, 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 and then within 5 seconds they see how to use it, and then, oh, not creative enough. Oh, this is how you blah blah blah. You know, something like very fast could work.
Are you kidding me? She just gave you guys a that was easy button, right? I think that the principle, and thank you, Emily. That was Emily, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Emily, and appreciate everybody's input and just interaction, because it just makes all the world, it makes a world of a difference. So thank you, everybody. The if we rewind, traditional sites would probably put that under the category of FAQs, frequently asked questions, right? But I think there's better ways to spice up and represent an FAQ section. And so I'm framing that as challenge or call out the assumption. Nathaniel, go for it.
I'm just like processing out loud, but the thing about an FAQ is it's so like out of the way. It almost seems like you're trying to ask the merchant a question, and the merchant's kind of like, huh? What's your problem? Oh, yeah, well, this and that. Whereas having it right at the front, like as buttons kind of, then it's like, hey, you matter. And then it's also an opportunity to build that connection in a personable way and show like, and form that identification, that co-identification with the customer.
Mm-hmm. So now I'm gonna switch up on you guys. Are you ready? Would the same language be applicable if you're trying to, for lack of a better word, poach somebody from a different from a different provider? Would the language be a little different? Ooh, okay. So the profile that we were just working on was, I've never used a 3D printer before. And now, hey, I'm going to challenge some assumptions. Okay. The principle still stays the same. The difference is they're assuming benchmarks. So I want to encourage everybody to understand that the principle stays the same. But now what they have is a benchmark of service. They have a benchmark of response. They have a benchmark of price point. They have a benchmark of effort that they need to put in. They have benchmarks. What you need to demonstrate if you want somebody to move from a current provider to you is, how will you up their game? That's where the what's in it for me comes in. Can you save? And there's 3 principles. 3. Can you save me time? Can you save me money? Can you save me effort? Your language has to speak. You'll save you time, effort, and money. Okay. You want the other side of the coin of saving time? Can you, so I said save time, effort, and money. Okay. I'm going to give you another piece of language here. Can your product or service make me time, effort, and money? And then bake that into your language. Now, how do you make time? Well, our printer, one of the things that I've heard, here's my assumption, guys, assumptions, right? Assumptions, and they're valid, is, oh, it takes forever. Like, it takes like, like 3 hours to print, just a basic chess piece. Like, come on, man, I'm not gonna sit there for 3 hours for a chess piece. Like, are you serious? Okay. Our printer is
Ours is so fast, you can print 2 in the same time as 1. We're saving you time.
Right? Or the language, and that's saving time. But the language could be, while that's printing, what else could you be doing? I just made you time to do something else while we're taking care of high quality printing. Is that true or not? No, but we're getting them to think about all the time that we just created for them. Are you getting your clients to think about the other side of the coin? Listen, while we do our best job doing what we do best, peace of mind. Sorry, guys. It'll be done right. You focus on you. You go ahead and do you. Making them. Now, I'm about to give you. We're coming up to the end of our clock. We've got 7 minutes left, so I'm going to give you guys some time for questions. I want to quickly recap CTAs, right? Yeah, you got to have a call to action. Okay, great. Right? You want to clarify the ask for sure. Always clarify the ask. You definitely want to challenge your audience. Don't be afraid to ask for the sale. Because again, you didn't get into a business to make a product. You got into business to make revenue from your product. And the last one is call out the assumption. Those are the four CTAs that really matter. Now, I figured out a secret, and I haven't capitalized it myself personally, but I figured out a secret. I'm a little older than many of you guys, so and Nathaniel makes me feel old. In the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, computers generally, for the most part, ran on DOS commands, where / command, Paige is like, what is that? I'm so young. I don't even think I was born. Yes, Paige, you probably weren't. You got this youthful look to you, and so. If to be in computer science, you really had to work hard, and so there's this guy, you might know who he is, Bill Gates, right? You might know who he is. He figured out a secret. I mean, this is the secret that he figured out. Humans are fundamentally lazy, and if you can make my world easier with your product, you mean all I have to do is click the picture, click the icon, and in the background, the computer will run the DOS command? You mean I no longer have to know any language? I can just move my little mousey and click the picture, the icon, and it happens magically? And then obviously there's been so many iterations and elevations of technology that's so foreign to most of you on this call, but that might be the point. Humans are fundamentally looking for ways to make their life and energy output easier. Does your marketing, does your language in your CTAs demonstrate that you make their life easier? Does it? That's a secret that I would love not love to share. I just did. Please, in your language, include that in a significant way, because if you can demonstrate how you're making people's lives easier and simple and convenient, you're going to win more business. Thank you, guys. We're not done. I just don't want to keep on like overloading content, because that's not the point. It's about all of us saying, hey, come back. Somebody just jumped on the screen and then jumped off. Come back. What I love, hey, thank you for coming back. Questions and thoughts, please. And I'll stay on as long as you guys want.
I must commend you for the acronym, the call to action, and all of the points that you used that helped make it stick and make it memorable. Because something you said earlier, where it's not that we're going to just throw everything to the wall and hope that something sticks. There's a method, there's a process, and I love the clarify the ask and challenge your audience and call out the assumption. Beautiful information. I love it.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We have a question
like
in the chat. Advice if you're selling service like editing, consultations, etc. That's from Emily.
Okay. And Emily, I think you were hanging out with us last week. Yeah, you do the romantic dramas, and you're a screenwriter. Is that correct?
Yes, you're so on point.
Okay, awesome. Because I remember it was your baby. Oh, that's a different baby. Your other baby was on last time. Wow,
Number
you grew
two right here.
fast.
And
Like, they grew. Yeah.
Right.
From what? So here it is. Look, Fadi's really smart, and so is Ahmed, and so is August, and everyone else on the call. So this is her question, and I'm looking for all of us to help each other move forward. She is a screenwriter. She wants to work with producers and help them now fill in the blank. And if you can't fill in this blank quickly, we got work to do. So you want to help them do what?
have awesome romantic stories until on screen. Yeah.
Okay, so guys, that's her pitch right now. Her pitch is have awesome romantic comedies on screen. Amit, is that working for you if you're the producer?
I mean, this sounds great, but it seems like everyone would say the exact same thing. So you need to come up with something that makes you unique.
Yes.
Which
Okay.
is
And then
not a shot like at you. I struggle with the same thing, and like coming up with the unique statement is the hard part.
okay, and then my 3 things that make me unique, and just for feedback, are that the stories I write are like full of heart and are about everything that happens before dating, which is such a fun time. And they have ethnically diverse characters, and showing healthy relationships. So there's not like negativity and breakups and drama and one night stands and all that stuff. It's like healthy relationships and everything before they get together, which is particularly juicy if you're in the romance world.
Okay, so I'm gonna go first. The only place where I've seen wholesome movies is the Hallmark Channel. That's where you probably want to focus, because the reality is everybody loves gory car accidents. Everybody loves disgust, and unfortunately, it sells.
I was gonna say that.
So I think someone was saying something?
No, I'm saying I was gonna say that. Like for me, I would love some heartbreak.
Thank you for.
Heartbreak. Well, I mean,
this
there
is-
won't be heartbreak, but it will be healthy in a healthier way.
Yeah, I think you can try to sell it as educational for people who want to maybe see what it looks like, a healthy relationship or something. Like if you show a good example of a scene, or maybe like base yourself on a theme, like you were saying, it's going to be younger people and everything. It's pretty good base to try to teach them what a good relationship would look like. So that could be a good selling point if you
I didn't
target.
even think of that. Yeah, because producers are thinking about their audiences, so they're like, I'm primarily working with young people or whatever, or so that's a great idea.
Okay, so it sounds like you want to work with grade 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, no. This is like for adults and stuff. Like, I personally don't like to watch romances where it's like they just meet and then after 5 seconds they're like kissing and stuff. And you're like, what? Like, that's not realistic. Like, I like to like the romances where you see someone at the grocery store, they work at the store, they're awesome. You want to exchange numbers with them or hang out again, but how do you do that? Because it's a local grocery store. And what if they say no? And then it's awkward every other time you meet them. But like, or they're at the post office or they're wherever in your world. But how do you go from like not knowing each other to meeting up and stuff? And to me, that's like so fun.
Okay, I think that you have your hands full. I think there's a lot of. I think that there's a lot of.
Like you're helping with the business thinking and like getting into the shoes of people. So thank you so much. I'm so excited.
This is good, and actually, one of our 3D printing friends, add to her equation, please, Nathaniel or Fatty, one of you, add to her equation. Yes, I put you on the spot. I did.
Someone has a hand up. Go ahead.
And that's okay. Thank you so much, Emily. Obviously this isn't the form where we're able to get exact answers. It's all about ideation and perhaps inspiration and just challenging our thinking a little bit about the rhythms that we fall into and then the blind spots that we curate, because sometimes you forget to look at the other side of the coin. And I'm hoping that this time created that. And I guess Nathaniel will wrap up with your last question.
Yeah, my question's on another note. How do you, this maybe is not so specific to this conversation, so let me know, but how do you communicate that your how do you communicate your low cost without appearing cheap? Like specifically when it comes to CTAs, just for yelling like cheap doesn't really do it, so.
Yeah,
I got it. So you said it was 300, Nathaniel?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's the same price as a dinner for 2 out.
As long as you're taking me out for dinner, because that's pretty good. Like if me and you $300, let's go, let's go, let's go. That's a pretty.
That's a bottle of wine.
Like I said, let me know where to meet you, because that's pretty good. $300, right? And so I think the principle there is comparing it to. I think it's about getting the spotlight off of what your competitors cost, but what your lifestyle costs you. And so now you're not comparing A to A, you're comparing A to F. And so it's a little bit of a smokescreen, but it can be effective. And I think the principle there is really taking the focus off your competitors and just putting it on an everyday XYZ that you would have purchased. So that's a principle, certainly that could work. Your technologies are just that much more efficient. That's the whole point. Our technologies are that much more efficient. Efficiency can be overplayed as well. So if there's ways that you can craft a language around the fact that your technology has dropped the price, like everything, and you can say the same thing. I still don't know why they charge so much. Yeah, we don't understand why the competitors charge so much either. If you're to say that, you're saying a whole lot. You're saying a whole lot, right? There is this principle when somebody has loyalty. It's about dislodging. Language that dislodges loyalty is really good. And if you say, yeah, we still don't know why they charge so much. So it's not about you charge less. I'm just trying to flip the script on you, the other side of the coin. Why do they charge
too much?
Yeah. So now you don't have to focus on the problem that you're feeling, and it could just be yourself. You're saying the exact same thing, but what you're saying, did you get the principle there?
It's like deflecting the line of questioning to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you paying so much? And get them to call. Can you imagine call? Well, they can charge. I don't, and then they have to answer their own question. The principle there is put the gun in their hand put the trigger in their hand. You're not the one that has to say, hey, we're cheaper. They're the ones that have to say, hey, they're more cost effective, or why am I wasting my money over here? Does that make sense, Nathaniel, a little bit? Yeah? Okay, cool. Paige, I'll throw it back to you.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to post in the chat here links for the event next week. That's all I wanted to say. And I really thank everybody for coming today.
Awesome. Folks, I hope you were able to benefit from this time. I hope there was some ideation that came about. That's what this is. It's not always about answering everybody's questions. There are no experts. I don't believe in the concept of experts. I believe in communities. And together as communities, we can always uplift and share and ideate and come up with something better simply because we put our heads together. Thank you all for making the time.